Have you talked to your loved ones about what to do in the event that you or they are put on life support? Nobody likes to talk about it, but not talking about it doesn't make it go away. When we're 3 or 4, we play this game of I can't see you and you can't see me, and not having this conversation about what to do in that event of life support is just as silly. I get it. We don't like to talk about it, but not talking about it doesn't make it go away. And the fact is if you don't have these conversations in advance without the emotions behind them, either a decision's going to get made that is not to your wishes or to your family's wishes, or you're going to put them in a position, or yourself in a position, to live with a lifelong filled of guilt if you were the person to decide to remove someone you love very much off of life support. Here's where I'm going with this. Not having that conversation is not okay. And I want to encourage you to schedule some time on your calendar to sit down with those people that might be responsible for making that decision, right? So, yes, people have living wills. Yes, people have wills, and that's the legal piece of it. That's what enables people to make decisions on your behalf. But the fact is it does nothing for the emotional piece of it. Here's what I mean by that. So I don't share too many stories about my family or my past, but this is going to be one of those times. So, January 8th marks the 18-year anniversary of when my brother passed. Now, my brother was very, very, very unhealthy for a large portion of his life. He was diabetic. He had had a kidney transplant. He had had a pancreas transplant, meaning he was no longer diabetic. But all of those years between and before the transplants just beat the heck out of his body. Dialysis beat the heck out of his body. So there were a lot of times where we came close to thinking, okay, you know what, we're kind of at this end, and this is what we're going to do. And there was a time prior to 2005 when we thought that we were going to have to make the decision. And thankfully, we figured out what was really going on behind the scenes, and we were able to get it taken care of. But doctors were at a loss for what to do, so were we. So because of all of his health issues, I did not expect for him to have a series of strokes. I didn't expect that to be the thing that quote unquote got him. I expected it to be lots of other things, but not the stroke. So on January 1st, I'm at his apartment. He had a stroke. And I didn't find out about it till January 2nd when the doctors called me, and he blatantly said, "Where the hell are you?" I had a very close working or professional relationship with the doctors and nurses. We spent a lot of time on Yonker 5 in Des Moines. Hi, guys. And we spent so much time in Iowa City with transplants and health crisis and all those kinds of things with him. So so they called me and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "What's going on?" And they explained to me that he had a stroke that knocked out about 10 different parts of his brain, and he was reduced to brainstem activities. So he could cry, he could feel pain, he could hear, but he wasn't able to verbally communicate. He wasn't able to eat on his own. And so I asked what was going on currently, and they said he was on dialysis. And I immediately blurted out, "Take him off dialysis." I will say that my one regret was not being there when they took him off dialysis, but because of our conversations well in advance about what to do in the case of the event where he's on life support, I still know to this day, and I still am able to find some peace, that I made the right decision. So let me break this down just a little bit more. So they took him off dialysis, and I was at the hospital in under an hour. You know, why remove him from dialysis, right? At that point, because of the strokes, the dialysis was going to be the only thing to keep him alive. That was basically his life support. He could breathe on his own, that kind of thing. But my brother had a rule, and his rule was, if I have to be on life support for more than 4 days, then I'm done. It was spelled out in his living will, but we had those conversations, and I knew that I was making that right decision for him. I had that little bit of peace. So I stayed with him in the hospital. I was there with him every day until I passed on January 8th. And I was able to communicate with him via hand squeezes and yes and no questions. And you know, I asked him so many times, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure that this is what you want to do? And every time he would squeeze my hand for yes. And we don't always, you know, I see that as a luxury, that he was able to hear me, and that he was able to squeeze my hand, and that he was able to understand what was going on. But that's a luxury. We don't always have that. You know, we're not guaranteed next year, we're not guaranteed next month, and we're not even guaranteed tonight, right? So I'm not saying live in the doom and gloom, but I am encouraging you to just have a real conversation, so that even 20 years later or a year later, after you have to make that decision, you know, it was not an easy decision to make, but it was incredibly simple because we had put together a plan. We had an agreement. I knew that I was doing for him what he wanted done for him. Not what I wanted, not what I thought he wanted, but what I knew he wanted. Again, the living will, that's the legality piece of it. But if you don't have a conversation every so often to check in and see what, you know, what their desires are regarding organ donation, regarding, you know, whatever it is that those conversations that you want to have. So, you know, tough story to share. I still regret not being there for when they took him off dialysis. But you know, I was there for the last 6 days of his life with him, every moment. And I know that I did the right thing for him. So that helps. So, you know, a lot of people think that their living will is to protect their interests, but I'm going to encourage you to look at it as protecting the ones you care about most, protecting their peace of mind. All right, that's enough on that topic. I'm Ashley with AskAshley.life, and please like, subscribe, share my videos, and stay curious and kind, and I will see you soon on a more upbeat topic. Have a great day. Bye, guys.